Rogan with Maher, discussing how the woke and the extremists have destroyed the term liberal, something you all know well about, but it is worth repeating because those are the people that we got to save.
If I said so many of the things that I've said on Club Random, on a podcast, on Real Time, on HBO, they would have had my head.
Yeah.
But somehow, when I say it in the setting of the podcast, in my own home, blowing the pot smoke, somehow it's okay. And I find that very interesting.
I think they look at you like a guy who they're worried about because you don't toe the line.
They should be. Exactly.
You're like a 90s liberal. You're like liberals back when they were more reasonable before they became leftists. And now every liberal kind of has to be a leftist. It's not if you want to be on the team, you got to subscribe to the most fringe ideas that the team is promoting. And I get in trouble with that too. It's such a, I mean, there's so many, like Joe List has talked about that recently, the comic Joe List, very funny guy. And he was talking about I'm a 90s liberal. He goes, what? I didn't change. It's like everybody else kind of changed. It got real weird, like what you're allowed to disagree with and not to disagree with. And, it's strange.
I'm always trying to make the case that liberal is a different animal than woke.
Yeah.
Because it is. And you can be woke with all the nonsense that now implies, but don't say that somehow it's an extension of liberalism.
Right.
Because it's most often actually an undoing of liberalism.
So
you can have your points of view and your positions on these things, but don't try to piggyback on what I've always believed. I have always believed, as liberals do, for example, in a colorblind society, that the goal is to not see race at all anywhere for any reason.
Yes.
That's what liberals always believed all the way through. Obama, going back, Kennedy, everybody, Martin Luther King. That's not what the woke believe. They believe race is first and foremost the thing you should always see everywhere, which I find interesting because that used to be the position of the Ku Klux Klan, that we see race first and foremost everywhere.
Yeah.
So, again, you can have that position, but don't say that's a liberal position. You're doing something very different.
I think the idea behind it, I understand their idea. The idea is that the society is imbalanced. And so in order to address that imbalance, you're going to prop up as many minorities as possible, make as many opportunities for minorities as possible, and get it to a position where there are, like, white people are a minority. And so that's not a concern anymore. And that through that, somehow or another, you'll achieve equality. I think the way to achieve equality is your way. I think the colorblind way is the way to really, truly achieve equality and to truly judge people just on their merits.
So if you, Bill Maher, want to live, and I say this with love, Bill, if you, Bill Maher, and you, Joe Rogan, if you want to live in that colorblind society, you cannot vote for Democrats. You cannot. Yes, you can say, and it's the same thing I said when I had RFK Jr. on here about 2 months ago. It's like you're still sort of thinking of the Democrats of yesteryear as if they're the Democrats of today. So I get it. You can name a lot of old Democrats. I can name a whole bunch of dead Democrats who made a lot of sense years ago, but Joe, we're not in the 90s anymore. So Joe, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't vote. I could be wrong on this. I'd be happy to be corrected if I am. But he, I guess, didn't have the balls, or he can talk about politics all day long, but didn't vote. I actually don't even mean that as an attack on him. What I'm saying is now get to the conclusion. You got to damn well vote for Trump or DeSantis or whoever it's going to be on the Republican side if we have any chance to get out of this, right? And Bill, you can't, the day before the midterms like you did just about 10 months ago, you can't say you have to vote Democrat if you want to save democracy, all the while the house is burning and we got bigger problems.